echinoderms. It was a smaller group, so not as much information about it. We will dissect the sea stars tomorrow, and then on Monday we will have our quiz over this and move on to the lesser chordates on Tuesday. So we're talking about the class Holothroidia today, and these are the sea cucumbers. They are so strange. The sea cucumbers do not have any arms, and they lay on one side, so they look like a slug. Honestly, it's kind of weird that they are classified in with the sea stars when they don't look anything like a sea star. So they do. One side does typically get flattened, and that's kind of like the belly side of it. Microscopic ossicles, and that's probably why they do get put in this group, is they have the same kind of ossicles as these sea stars do. They are dioecious in external fertilization, just like we see in the other echinoderms, and they have a very thick and muscular body. So they are really large, about the size of your forearm.
Alex Naranjo, please report to the office. Alex Naranjo.
Why did they call them?
Maybe they didn't know which class he was in, or he wasn't in class. I don't know. Couldn't find him. They are eaten as a source of protein or flavoring for soup. So very, very common food in some places. And sorry, got distracted. So they're a very good source of protein and a good source of flavoring, and eaten pretty frequently along coastal areas. Unlike the sea urchin, there's no danger involved with the sea cucumber, so pretty easy to find.
I wonder if it tastes good. How does it taste?
Like salty cucumber.
Salty cucumber. Is that all they do in China?
Alright, so their madreporite plate is internal, so you can't really see the porite plate on the outside. They still have 2 feet, although some are modified, and they're not really used for moving very much. They capture food using tentacles covered in mucus, and so this mucousy tentacles help them to get their food. And then, of course, I've mentioned the anus and how interesting it is for the sea cucumbers. They actually breathe through respiratory trees through their anus. So they will use these respiratory trees and basically breathe out their rear end. When attacked, they can push their gonads, their digestive tract, and the respiratory tree out of their anus as a defense mechanism. So, yeah, if they are being attacked by something, they kind of push all of that out and use it as a way to defend themselves, and then they can pull it back in, and if it does get damaged in the process, they'll regenerate it. So, yeah, interesting. Alright, so let's watch some videos about the sea cucumber. So weird.
The sea cucumber.
It's a very dramatic video.
These animals may look like boring lumps, but sea cucumbers have all sorts of surprises. This hairy sea cucumber takes several hours to burrow under the sand. Its body now safely hidden, it's time to eat. It unfurls its feathery tentacles. Any microscopic morsel it finds gets pulled down into its mouth. A miniature forest of cukes filter the water clean of organic debris. But at the first sign of trouble, the forest vanishes to feed another time. It knows no fear, possibly because it has no brain. Instead, a nerve ring around its mouth tells it when to move, when to fight, and when to eat. In the animal kingdom, there's no emergency rooms, band-aids, or kisses from mommy. Fighting takes guts. For this cuke, that's no metaphor. A fish nips at its backside, the wrong side. It expels its guts out of its very own ring of fire. Their filaments are sticky and toxic. If the fish gets caught, it might die. The fish wants no part of this fight, or this surprisingly resourceful lump.
Alright, I got one more.
I wonder what happened if you just grab one and suck them back in. Like a tree.
I don't know, like if it grabbed it, it would probably break it off because I think it does regenerate fairly easily. So,
Some animals go to quite extreme depths in their quest to find a secure place to lodge. A pearlfish is looking for exactly that, a hidey hole. This cumbersome oddball could be the answer. A rather strange-looking lump known as a sea cucumber. It spends its days sucking sand in through one end of its body, extracting anything nutritious from it, and passing what it doesn't want out the other end. It's the ultimate
Zoology
beach
fun.
No,
Okay, it's revolting. But could this walking colon be a safe haven? It seems it could. And strangely, it prefers the back door to the front.
Dude,
Any portable stool?
Where'd it go?
But the pearlfish is in fact very clever. Sea cucumbers are repulsive to most predators, meaning the crafty lodger is safe inside. In fact, it is such a comfortable pad that after settling in, it is happy to share his home with friends and family.
That's one of those things you're never gonna unsee now. You're welcome. Alright, so it is disgusting, but it's really interesting at the same time. And it shows kind of the size of it here. It's about the length of the forearm. Yeah,
This one,
It looked huge.
they are. They're pretty big, and they can probably get a little bit bigger than this.
that other one that I was just showing, it looked like a school bus.
So the mouth does have the tentacles and the arms that are going to capture the food. They do eat a lot of sand, and the sand that comes out is actually a lot cleaner than the sand that goes in. So it's kind of like a filtering process, and they're filtering out that sand. And so coral reefs and places that have sea cucumbers actually do better when sea cucumbers are present, because they do such a good job of cleaning and filtering out things that it's kind of like the earthworms of the ocean almost. Like, you know, your garden does better if you have earthworms in it. Coral reef does better if you have sea cucumbers in it. So here are just a couple examples of the different sea cucumbers. This is what they look like inside. They've got their digestive tract and their respiratory trees, and all of that can be expelled as a way to help them protect themselves.
I think those tentacles.
Cool. They're weird animals. All right, so class Crinoidea, they are the sea lilies and the feather stars. These are the most primitive echinoderms, and you're going to find these a lot in fossils. We've already mentioned that the crinoids are the state fossil for Missouri, and they're just really, really common. The sea lilies attach permanently by a stalk to the ground, so these are not mobile. They're going to be attached, and that's one of the reasons why they look like sea lilies, because they look like flowers, they look like plants, because they are attached. The feather stars are similar but don't have a stalk. So the sea lilies have a stalk and the feather stars don't. Both are dioecious and both can regenerate pretty easily. So this is what they look like. Here's a fossilized sea lily. Again, they've got the long stem, and that's mostly what you're going to find when you find the crinoid fossils, is these parts of the stem. They look like kind of round, flattened discs, almost like a donut. And then they've got the feathery part at the top. Here's a feather star. The feather stars look kind of neat. They are very feathery, which is how they get their name. A lot of times they will attach to the ground as well, but they do not have a stalk, so sometimes they will float through the water.
This is a very spine.
Kind of does.
Wings.
Yeah. It is a feather star. Alright, so class Concentricoidea is the sea daisies, and there are only 3 species in this group. They were only recently discovered, so one of those that we didn't know they were there until recently. And they were discovered in the dirt of like the deep ocean areas. They are very, very small, about 1 centimeter, so it's easy to see how they were overlooked when they're that tiny and they're found in the dirt. And probably didn't even know they were there. They don't have any arms, and they basically just absorb food because they are so small. They don't really have a digestive system, and they can just absorb food across their surface. There's still a lot that's not known about them because they've been discovered recently, because they are kind of rare. They hold their young inside, but they're really not sure how fertilization occurs. They don't know much about them yet. And it's also possible, because these were recently discovered, that they could be put in a different group eventually, as more information becomes available about them.
What class does seahorses hold?
They are in Osteichthyes, which are bony fish. They are actually considered fish. This is what the sea daisies look like. Really, really small, 1 centimeter big, only 3 species, relatively newly discovered, so still a lot we don't know about them.
Those are cool though.
They are kind of cool.
Too
But
bad
it's-
they don't see.
Yeah, it's really easy to understand why they went so long. I mean, something super tiny, something found only in the dirt in the deep ocean. No wonder we didn't know they were there. All right, that's it. That's actually all the notes that we're taking for the kind of our unit. We've covered all the different classes. Tomorrow we are going to dissect, so your dissection prep needs to be done. We'll dissect the sea stars tomorrow, and then on Monday we will have our quiz. On Tuesday we will get started with what this group will be called lesser chordates, because it's the chordates, the more advanced ones are like, you know, the amphibians and stuff like that. But the lesser chordates like lampreys and hagfish is what we'll get started on first.
Lampreys.
Lampreys and hagfish. Hagfish are weird too. Hagfish are all about the slime.